Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Eugene Stories and I hope that you're doing fine wherever you are today. Honestly, I'm confused you all because I've been growing knowing that Egypt was in Africa because that's where the first civilization started. One of the earliest civilization that was done in Africa. So while I grew, I knew that Egypt is in Africa, right? The Middle East part of Africa. And you could predate it back in the days during the time of Egypt and Israel, things which really happened. So my question is, this sister, we came out and really the points that she was giving were really convincing about the fact that Egypt is not in Africa. Egypt is in America. And kind of try to reason with her facts, and I try to question something. Why am I getting to hear this right now? That the historical anecdotes symbolically that is trying to share simply the other relationship between the United States, that is the America, and the ancient Egypt. So I'm confused, you all. So I just really want to know your opinion, right, about this. Because the sister, she is pretty confident about what she's saying, and I'm always open-minded, right? And I just need to get your opinion. And while I watch this video, I happen to see people's opinion in regards to this, and I could say that we had mixed feeling about these opinion towards people from the black community. People gave out their mixed opinion in regards to this. So I want us to watch the video, right? And really get to hear what the sister said. Because I also want to get your opinion in regards to this. I might not know much about the Bible. I might not know much about the historical things which happened. But I'm really ready to learn, ready to hear your opinion in regards to this, because generally, this is so thought-provoking, and I just honestly really wanted to know how is ancient Egypt, how was ancient Egypt America, right? While the America is the Babylon that we're always talking about people to live. So trying to look at the symbolic between the two things, pretty convincing. But I can't turn my mind to the fact that we have archaeological evidence, historical evidence, which stipulates that ancient Egypt was and is in Africa. So what do you think? Even just before jumping right to the video, I really want to know your opinion in regards to this. So let's jump right into the video and then come back. Have a talk about this trade.
Sense is at an all-time low and denial is a must. That's why I'm going to present you with the facts and expect you to do the heavy lifting with your critical thinking. First and foremost, the Mississippi River is the true Nile. In Isaiah 11:15, it says, "And the Lord shall utterly destroy the tongue of the Egyptian sea, and with his mighty wind shall he shake his hand over the river, and shall smite it in the 7 streams, and make men go over dry shod." That's what it says. The Nile does not do this. But you know what does? The Mississippi. Second point. The Mississippi still runs through the ancient cities that it ran through in the beginning of time: Thebes, Cairo, and Memphis. You have been made to believe that we named our cities after modern-day Egypt, when in fact that is not true. Modern-day Egypt named its cities after our cities in ancient America, which is also ancient Egypt. And before this video gets too long, I'm just going to add in a final point. Did you know that the Americas have more pyramids than the entire planet combined? Yeah. We'll get into the Grand Canyon on the next video. 90% of the Grand Canyon is off limits to the general public, which is backed by military services. But why? In 1908, President Teddy Roosevelt decided that he wanted to protect the canyon from timber and mining operations. With this knowledge, a gentleman by the name of G.E. Kincaid, along with the Smithsonian professor by the name of S.A. Johnson, decided that they were going to get a group together to do one final mineral expedition before it closed. What they discovered, however, was completely unexpected. About 40 miles upriver from El Tivar Crystal Canyon, they discovered sediment stains that didn't make sense for Arizona, USA. In addition to that, they also noticed a cavern entrance with steps leading up to it that was clearly a man-made structure. Once inside, they found an intricate underground city that could fit up to 50,000 people. There were ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs on the wall, granaries, tools made of copper. It did make sense. What all of this pointed to was an ancient civilization with advanced technology. In America, in Arizona, with connections to ancient Egypt. After finishing his exploration, G.E. Kincaid, recognizing the massiveness of this discovery, decided that he needed to go back and take an even larger group and bring the Smithsonian along. But they weren't going to allow him to do that. In fact, they offed him. And now, in 2024, the Smithsonian completely denies all accounts of this and calls it a hoax. But
alright, so to marry.
Have y'all ever wondered why America is ancient Egypt? A lot of people call America Turtle Island because it's the home of the reptiles. This is the land of Kemet, but the original name is Ta Marie. So along the Nile River in Africa, you have cities like Cairo, Karnak, Memphis, Egypt. Now in America, you have Karnak, Egypt, Cairo, Memphis, the same cities in Africa. This is what you call a mirror tribe, people who share the same cultures. A lot of people going to the Middle East looking for the Holy Land. The whole time, it's right here in America. The proof is right in front of our face. It's pyramids everywhere on our land. Even in Las Vegas, they have the hotel paying homage to the Egyptians. It's even carvings on the walls in America of us playing with the snakes. They replicated this same stuff and brought it to the New Egypt. We are the original snake clan from Turtle Island. We are the parents to the Egyptians in Africa. It's even on the money. We had our own kingdom set up over here. The females sat on the throne and they was the rulers. Egypt, Illinois was the capital of the world. Even your god Horus, he was a falcon, and a falcon is only native to America. And then one day, Alexander would come along and conquer the people of America. He would kill the men and take the females and children in as slaves. He would then keep all these people gold and silver for himself. He would then build his own library, hiding all the stolen treasures and merchandise in there. So I told y'all the females ruled ancient America. Alexander the Great made his library a female library, calling it the Great Library of Alexandria instead of Alexander. He would be responsible for the fall of ancient America. But one day, his library would mysteriously burn down. But what really happened, they moved all the stolen treasure to the Vatican. It's a lot of hidden treasures beneath this city. This stuff go back centuries, y'all. Y'all don't even know. But this is how all our history was lost. They stole all of our history and hid it from us, literally, beneath castles. These invaders conquered the people and sat in the queen's seat. But she is back on the rise now. And those that suppressed her are crumbling now at her feet.
Now this
Africa doesn't have stair steps going up it. It doesn't have temples on top of its summits. They could not go and break through the boat on the temples atop those great pyramids. There are none there. And that was the clue that Egypt was writing about the Americas. And the deeper I got into the records, the clearer it got. They started actually saying, and because Amun loved that land so much, he said it's his beloved land, and that word was Mary, the beloved, Mary, M-E-R-I, Mary. And the land, of course, as before, is Ta. So you have the land, the beloved land, Ta Mary. And they kept that name and just put the Ta on the end of it. So Ta Mary became a Mary Ta. We simply say America. We kept the name that Egypt gave to the Americas. So that was the big mystery behind that $10 million map that Martin Waldseemüller made and then put the name America on it in 1507. And then those who knew and those who were trying to hide things said, wait a minute, you can't put that name on here. And the next time he reprinted that map, it was off. It was gone. Because that's the name that Egypt had given the land, Tamari. That's where America came from. So now I have Egypt writing about the Americas, but they go further. They don't just talk about we named the Americas. They said where it was. They said our founders, Amenemhat, Osiris, Isis, all of these. Of course, they use those other names, you know, the Asa and the Asat. And so they said they are in the West. And all over the monuments, they talked about Osiris and said he is foremost of the Westerners, which means not in the front of. He was the most worshipped throughout in the West. And not just his dead spirit, they were talking about the man himself being in the West. So now I have those records. And the deeper I got, the clearer it became. And then I started locating the cities all through the Americas. And not North America. Egypt says, man, those, they didn't call them Indians, but they said their cavalry is just so strong. They have bow and arrow cavalry. They are on horseback, and they are so strong, it's just devastating to us to try to take that land. So I tell you what, we're going to cut it right off at that river, and that's why all these pyramids are showing up from Mexico going down south, because those Apaches and Comanches and whatever other tribes were there, black tribes and others, were whooping Egypt something fierce. They did leave the record, though, that Osiris got as far as Washington, D.C. He said, I got to this land, and in this land in the north, I got to the place of the river with the largest, widest mouth. And I immediately ran to the Mississippi. I started looking around trying to see, well, where is he? I'm trying to see where Osiris is. I see that city called Baton Rouge. I know that's talking about, it's got Aton's name in it, A-T-O-N, Baton Rouge. I know that's red. And I'm looking at it. It kind of sounds like it might be an Egypt connection. I'm looking for it, but that was wrong. They said, no, when you get to that place, that's Pataline. That's an island. That's a large island. Doesn't matter, ain't no island here called no Pataline. And then understanding comes in and says, wait a minute, look at the map again. See where the Mississippi River splits, and one goes over toward New Orleans and the other one goes down toward Alexandria. I said, well, yeah. I said, well, you know, when you have a Mississippi River that splits in two, then the land between those two rivers is an island, because on the south side of it is the Gulf of Mexico. All that land is an island. I was like, oh, man, here's Pataline. But he says, but that's not where I went to. He said, that's not the river I'm talking about. He said, this one has a huge mouth. And then I looked further up, and there it was. There's the Potomac and all of those waterways coming together, the Chesapeake, and making this huge mouth to this river before it empties into the Atlantic. And they say, when you get to that place, there's going to be a city designed, laid out in the shape of a parallelogram, which is like a rectangle, square. And that gummit, if they didn't lay out Washington, D.C. in the exact same configuration that ancient Egypt said that city would be in. And then they stuck an obelisk there. Egypt wrote about that. They just said it was too hard to keep control of that land with that very strong horseback army of bow and arrow shooting warriors. So then we go down toward the south. It's okay, we have the northern extent, let's go south. And we went through Central America, and I saw the cities there. And it will surprise you to know that Egypt actually built this city that we call Troy. Troy is in Central America. If you don't know the history of it before they start calling it Troy, you will never find it probably. But when Egypt wrote about it, they actually called it with those same letters. One word was T-R-W, Troy. But they said, well, we have another name for that city. We call it Kuban, K-U-B-B-A-N. It means the hidden city, because Troy is way up from the water at a time where cities major cities were being placed on the waterway because that's how commerce was being conducted, by ship. Troy was not. Troy was up in the rainforest, way up in the mountains.
Welcome back to the channel. Remember, as I told you, I was a little bit confused about this issue, and I really wanted to get people's opinion in regards to this, because this is not what I grew while I knew it. This is not something which is so common to my ear, to my mind. All the history lessons, trying to learn early agriculture, when we have the four rivers in Egypt, Tigris, Euphrates, name the two, right? So it's contrary that this was found in America. So probably it will leave you asking yourself a lot of questions. I've heard the argument of the sister, I've heard the argument of the gentleman, and let me hear people's opinion. And this is what people generally said about this issue, because probably we need to talk about it. Then somebody said that this is not new. There was a guy I found on YouTube back in 2012 that was talking about this, and I wouldn't be surprised. I'm actually convinced it is not impossible for kingdoms to move to a different area or be forced out of an area and set up a whole new kingdom elsewhere. Remember, it's called history is story, and there is nothing new under the sun. Fair enough, because the story was quite convincing, right? And I understand anybody can write history, but remember, at a point of something called cognitive dissonance. Right now, I'm going through cognitive dissonance because I'm torn in between the two. Like, who is telling the truth? Because I grew, my history lessons taught me that ancient Egypt, where the first civilization happened, was in Africa, and still in Africa, right? And nothing has changed since then. So be it in a conflict of, this is pretty convincing, right? This is pretty convincing that Egypt was in America, and the relationship and the anecdotes that the sister and the brothers are giving, pretty much convincing. Okay, somebody's saying, just look at the refusal of reparation and anti-hate crime bill that has the same characteristics as what happened in Egypt with the Pharaoh, which refused our ancestors as their slaves almost everything until judgment came in all forms that we see happening here in the country with the strange events. Okay, I'm trying to connect the dots symbolically. The reparation, right? People can't give black people reparation. The atrocities that were done against them, right? The history has indicated this probably, right? Well, the government really knows that black people deserve reparation, but they can't get it, right? It is because they know, but they can't. Symbolically, or trying to connect it with an allusion that Pharaoh was doing to Israelites while they were in Egypt. They couldn't let them go. Somebody saying, this is a great video. Been learning about this for a while. I see this. Somebody saying truth. This is truth. Somebody will say, lol, far more information that proves that America is the true old world. 10,000s of pyramids, older and larger in the America. Africa isn't the old world or where civilization started. I don't know. I'm not the one who said these words, but I'm just perplexed. The way you are, the way I'm also getting to see the opinions of these gentlemen who are trying to talk about these. Just feel free to tell me what you think about this. Somebody saying in the comment section that Egypt is in Africa. Totally, that's what I know, what I knew, what I've been knowing. So the cognitive dissonance that is really in this situation it's pretty much AV. And I need somebody to clarify this, man. Really, if you're a good historian, if you know and you're confident enough, because here we have two conflicting stories, right? That we need to talk about. Okay, somebody saying Egypt is in Africa. The only reason why Egypt artifacts are in the Americas is because of the Pharaoh Necho II. He contracted the Phoenicians to circumnavigate Africa during the second year journey. 10 ships were dragged into the North Atlantic equatorial currently and brought to the Americas in the 1605 BC. Somebody also said that, okay, the person who talked before was trying to say that Egypt is in Africa, and he supported it by providing historical evidence, digging to history, looking at things. And he talked about Pharaoh Nature too, who contracted the Phoenicians to circumnavigate Africa. During the second year journey, 10 ships were dragged into the North Atlantic equatorial currently and brought to the Americas in the 1605 BC. Somebody saying that one of many of our ancient buildings still stands in Columbia, South Carolina. It was an atmospheric energy collector distributor. It transmitted wireless energy. The copper dome is still present, but they installed the advanced technology inside the building that made it work. Tesla took the device and done experiments with it. The building is now called the State House, which stands at the main street of the Device Street, also as our ancient building still standing. Somebody said that they found a telephone post in China, which means China is actually Canada. You guys are joking too much. Honestly, I don't know. The polarity, the facts of both sides that are trying to provide, it's really mind-blowing. So, however, this is the conventional facts that I know about Egypt that I'm ready to share with you. This article is saying the claim that America is the true Egypt is not supported by the mainstream historical or archaeological evidence. This idea is often found in some fringe theories and interpretations, some linked to Afrocentric or pseudo-historical beliefs. I'm not the one who is saying it. So, and they continue by telling me these are the points to consider that proves that that ancient Egypt is in Africa and not America. Now, this is the other side of the story. So they continue by providing historical Egypt. Ancient Egypt was located in northeastern Africa, especially in the region that is now modern-day Egypt. This civilization flourished along the Nile River for millennia, leaving behind extensive archaeological evidence such as pyramids, temples, and hieroglyphic inscriptions. I'm also going to talk about geographical evidence. The geography, climate, and natural features of ancient Egypt are well documented and distinct from those of North America. The Nile River, the Sahara Desert, and the flora and fauna of the region are unique to the part of Africa. Totally understandable, totally pretty much what I know to my ear, right? I just don't know. Just tell me what you think about this. The third one that I'm going to talk about is archaeological evidence. Numerous archaeological discoveries in Egypt, including tombs, mummies, artifacts, and records, clearly place ancient Egypt civilization in its historical and geographical context in Africa. The fourth one that I'm going to talk about is cultural and historical continuity. Egyptian history is well documented through a continuous record of artifacts, writing, and cultural traditions that span thousands of years. This continuity is specific to the region around the Nile. So, the document that I've just read nullifies the say that America, Egypt is America, or vice versa, the interplay between them. So honestly, I'm really confused and just want to know the truth. What do you think about this video? I just want to get really both sides of the world, get to understand what both parties are saying, and honestly, down to learning. I really want to know, what do you think about this video? This is your Jindok Stories. I want to get your opinion. And if you're watching this video for the first time, probably you can consider subscribing to the channel so that you can get to know more about this channel. Let's learn together, join the membership, and pretty much see what we can offer you. Until then, peace, love, and harmony. Salute.